Hi there, I'm Noah Bradley. This is Handmade House TV, and on this week's episode we're going to talk about roof overhangs. So stay tuned. Well, alright, thank you for tuning in here to Handmade House TV. Today we're going to talk about roof overhangs. What is the best roof overhang to have on your particular home? And first of all, what is a roof overhang? And that is the distance that your roof extends beyond the surface of your home. And this can vary quite a bit. And as a matter of fact, I guess the incentive behind me creating today's video was a great email that I got asking me this very question. And this individual had been doing research worldwide with regard to roof overhangs. And in particular, I think he was commenting about the roof overhangs in Japan, in the Orient, and how great they were, and why didn't we do that here, and should he be considering that for his particular home. And it is very true that roof overhangs are quite frequently determined upon where we live on this globe of ours. In fact, there are several different considerations, and I believe, in how the roof overhangs developed, how they became more or less standardized within our particular region. And one of those is that it became established, and it became the aesthetic consideration that was put into place in that particular location. And once someone else had done it, it's a natural evolution that we tend to do what has been done to what other people are doing, and so we tend to mimic that. So in the Orient, they established these long overhangs, which, if you look at Oriental buildings, that is the precedence they set. That's the look that they're after. It's what was achieved, and that's, if you're building in the Orient, I would advise you to build with such roof overhangs. Now, there are advantages and disadvantages to having such a roof overhang, such an extreme 3 to 5 foot roof overhang on your home, other than what is culturally done normally within your particular area. The longer, the more extensive our roof overhang, the further it extends beyond our house, the more protected our house is, the less chance we'll have water blow in on our porch, the less chance we'll have it contact our windows, the less weather exposure we have, and thus the healthier our house is because of that. But there are negative aspects with having such an extreme roof overhang as we find in the Orient, or as we find in some of the Scandinavian countries as well. Some of the buildings over there have extreme ones to keep the snow load as much away from our home as possible, again, to protect our homes. And it's culturally normal. We're used to seeing that. If we were to visit such countries, we'd be used to seeing such wide, extreme overhangs. But the negative side is, obviously, the larger our roof is, the more roof area we have up there, the more expensive our roof is going to be. And roofs are not inexpensive. They tend to be costly features. And if we're building, if we're framing it in, we're building all this extra roof above our house that we don't have a house underneath. And if we're putting this expensive roofing materials, quality roofing materials such as slate or copper or cedar shake roof on top of it, obviously we're going to spend a whole lot more for our roof, and we're not going to really see a whole lot of benefit to that. Now, another cultural area that we could look at would be the New England area. And if you look at a lot of the homes that you'll find up there, you'll find that they have absolutely no roof overhang whatsoever. And it's a little bit puzzling, because if you go to the Scandinavian countries where a lot of snow has appeared, you'll tend to find that there's extremely long, wide roof overhangs there. And so why don't we find this in New England? And the only explanation I've ever heard, the only thing I've ever been able to come up with on why no overhangs in New England, and that's because of the frugalness of New Englanders, that they didn't want to extend it beyond the side of the house, because they knew that it would cost more money to have up there, and also it could very well be as part of the snow load that is received in New England, although Scandinavia gets a heck of a lot of snow as well. but clearly all of that added weight on top of a roof that is extending beyond the house with no visible support, you would think that over time that there might be structural issues with regard to that. So what is the factor? What's the determining factor other than cultural norms? Why is it that the vast majority of the world, the vast majority of the United States, in particular the mid-Atlantic area where I live, but also I can say that the vast majority of the country, why is it that roof overhangs are typically in that 10 to 12 inch range beyond the side of a house? And that's what I've always used, and that's what I always recommend. Other than it looking good, it does the purpose sufficiently enough. It keeps the vast majority of water away from the house. It's easy to build in structurally, but I think that the number one reason for it is that it's easy to find lumber that is in the 10 to 12 inch range. That tends to be where lumber maxes out as far as size goes. Once you walk into a hardware store or into a lumber yard and you want 14 inch wide lumber, you want 16 inch wide lumber, you're just not going to be able to find it unless it is custom cut. And then if you do find it, it tends to warp a lot. That 10 to 12 inches seems to be the natural maximum out width of a piece of wood and still remain stable and available when it comes time to build your home. So that's the reason, unless you're building in Scandinavia, New England, or the Orient, I highly recommend you sticking with 10 to 12 inch overhangs on your home. They look great, you'll love it, they do the job really well, and they're easy to find the material for it. Anyway, thank you so much for tuning in here to Handmade House TV this week. We look forward to seeing you next week where I've got another viewer question to answer. Until then, you guys take care. We'll talk to you then. Bye now.